So after Josh Taylor gets a very fortunate decision against Jack Catterall, a lot of people have that fight scored anywhere between 114, 111 to 116, 109 for Jack Catterall. I've even heard people saying that they would only give Josh Taylor rounds 9 and 10. Now, after this fight, it made me think Josh Taylor, who has had a very, very close fight with Jose Ramirez, I had him winning that fight anywhere between 114, 112 to 150, 111. And I thought he lost to Regis Prograis. No shame losing to Regis Prograis. I thought Regis Prograis beat him 7 rounds to 5. But I could have seen a draw, or I could have seen an 8 rounds to 4 win for Prograis. And now against Jack Catterall, so in my opinion, he's already lost 2 times. And going into the Jack Catterall fight, people had him as a top 5 pound for pound fighter, at worst top 6. Okay, for doing what exactly? Because pound for pound is not just about accomplishments. Pound for pound literally means if every fighter was the same pound, same weight, who would win? Now, to tell me Josh Taylor would be even competitive with a Canelo or a Usyk or a Crawford, especially after the Jack Catterall fight, I'd probably laugh at you. Now, let's go a level below. Would you be competitive with a Inoue, a Artur Beterbiev, a Shakur Stevenson at the same size? I would also say no. So for me, I dropped Josh Taylor outside of my top 10. And to be completely honest, the only reason why I had him in my top 10 or top 5, not because of what I saw in the ring, is because of the pressure from people outside of the ring. The pressure from the fan bases. People would have probably had a lot to say if I did not have Josh Taylor in my top 10. They'd probably say I'm anti-Brit, even though I do have a Brit in my top 10, pound for pound, but they would say that. So I'm just going to give you a quick go through my top 10. I think number 1 through 3 are interchangeable. I got number 1 Canelo, number 2 Crawford, number 3 Usyk, then number 4 Inoue, number 5 Lomachenko, number 6 Fury, number 7 Beterbiev, number 8 Shakur Stevenson, number 9 Estrada, and number 10 Gervonta Davis. That's my top 10. I think Gervonta Davis, even though he had a close fight with Isaac Cruz, he did not lose that fight. I know a lot of people are saying he did. I made a video after the fight saying that I had Gervonta winning 7 rounds to 5. I could have seen him even 8 rounds to 4, and I could see a draw. But I could not see Isaac Cruz win. Because I thought, even though the first 4 rounds it was a close fight, I thought from rounds 4 to 9, it was all Gervonta Davis. So the first 3 rounds, you could say, could have went either way. But from 4 to 9, it was all Gervonta Davis. And then the last 3, it was all Isaac Cruz. So the first 3 rounds, depending on how you score them, you either have a tank win or a draw. I don't see how you can have Isaac Cruz win. Because between rounds 4 and 9, I don't think you can even argue he won a single round. Gervonta Davis was on point. And Gervonta Davis says that he hurt his hand. And I think he said round 6. I don't buy that. I think he hurt his hand more in round 10. And he hurt his hand. He kind of like quinced from the pain. Then Isaac Cruz hurt him in round 10. Caught him on the ropes, both hands down, and hurt Gervonta Davis. I'm not saying he had him all over the ring, but he definitely felt that shot. Now, that's my top 10. My question is Josh Taylor the most overrated boxer right now? Because overrated is, a lot of people, when I say overrated, they think Deontay Wilder. Okay, Deontay Wilder can't be overrated when we all view him as overrated. That's not what overrated means. Overrated means is when someone's rated very highly, then it turns out that he wasn't at that rating that people gave him. And not a single point that Deontay Wilder ever was mentioned in the top 10 pound for pound. Never. For a very brief moment, he was the number 2 heavyweight. Not for a very brief moment. He was the number 2 heavyweight for a long time throughout his career. In 2015, a lot of people had that as Klitschko 1, Povetkin 2. 2016, it was between him and Joshua, number 1 and 2. 2017, him and Joshua. 2018, him and Joshua. 2019, he went down to number 3 after losing the fight against Tyson Fury. Fury came in at number 2, then Joshua number 1. After Joshua lost to Ruiz, Joshua went down to 4. So it was like Fury 1, Wilder 2, Ruiz 3, Joshua 4. And then the other way around after Joshua beat Ruiz. And then he lost to Fury. In my opinion, that fight made a new lineage because it was number 1 and 2 fighter without a doubt. So Wilder, even though he was rated at number 2 for all that time, it's hard to argue against it. Well, right now, I don't rank Wilder in my top 2. Or top 5. My top 10 at heavyweight is Fury at 1, Usyk at 2, Joshua at 3, White at 4, Parker at 5, Wilder at 6, Joe Joyce at 7, Ruiz at 8, Ortiz at 9, and Helenius at 10. And I think a lot of guys in that top 10 lose to a lot of guys in the between 11 and 20. Because I got Tony Oka, Forrest, Michael Hunter, Bacoli, Huey Fury, Hergovich, Sora, Gassiev, Mahmoudov, and Frank Sanchez from 11 to 20. So I think a lot of those guys would get bounced by the guys below them. But accomplishments have to do with divisional rankings. Accomplishments don't have that much to do with heavyweight rankings. And a lot of people even point out that Victor Postal had an argument to win against Josh Taylor. I don't remember the Victor Postal fight clearly. I don't think I watched it. But I did watch Gary Antoine Russell deal with Victor Postal with ease. So if Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez both did not deal with Victor Postal with ease, why was Josh Taylor ever a top 10 pound-for-pound fighter? Jack Catterall, I didn't have him in my top 10 light welterweights. Come and get to the Josh Taylor fight. Now I obviously do. But I didn't. I'm going to be honest. I did not have him in my top 10 light welterweights. And he, in my opinion, won at least 7 of the first 8 rounds. Because I had rounds 1 through 6 all Catterall. Round 7, I edged it to Taylor, but it was a swing round. Round 8, obviously Catterall round. 9 and 10 were clear Taylor rounds. 11 was a close Taylor round, even though the punch sense would not agree with that. Round 12, I had a close Catterall round. So I gave Catterall 8 of the 12 rounds. That gives him a 115-110 victory, where there were 2 swing rounds that I awarded to Taylor. If I flip those swing rounds to Catterall, he wins a 117-108 fight. Now, I want to go that wide for Catterall, but I wouldn't have been mad if like the judges were like 117-108, 115-110, 114-111 for the new light welterweight champion of the world. I would not have been mad. I'm like, yeah, he won that type of fight. Taylor did not win a 114-111 against Catterall. He did not win 8 of the 12 rounds. He just didn't. Now, my top 10 at light welterweight, this is how it goes. Number 1, Jack Catterall, because I thought, and I think universally it's thought that he clearly beat Josh Taylor. Because just looking around online, social media, talking to people face to face, I haven't met a single person who isn't trolling that says that Josh Taylor won that fight. So I got number 1, Jack Catterall. Number 2, Josh Taylor. Number 3, Regis Prograis. Look, even though I thought Regis Prograis clearly beat Josh Taylor, in my opinion, still people are split on that fight. So I'm not going to change the rankings and put Regis Prograis above Josh Taylor. Number 4, Jose Ramirez. Number 5, Jose Zepeda. Number 6 is Gary Antoine Russell. Number 7 is Sandor Martin. Number 8 is Montana Love. Number 9 is Jose Pedraza. And number 10 is Barboza. That's how my list goes at light welterweight. Now the question I'm asking this video, and I'm going to ask it again, is Josh Taylor the most overrated boxer in boxing right now? And I'd have to say, yeah, no boxer has ever been ranked this high, then completely dominant. Even the Teofimo Lopez fight, I had it 7 rounds to 5 for Kambosos. And if that fight was for Teofimo Lopez, I don't think it was as outrageous as this one. In my opinion. In my honest opinion, that's what I think. Even though a lot of people, thought Kambosos clearly won that fight, it was a 114, like anywhere between a draw to 150-111, Kambosos would have been fine. Because they both went down. They both had their moments in that fight. Josh Taylor did not have a moment in that fight. So yeah, that's my take on this. I do think Josh Taylor is the most overrated fighter in boxing. I hope I did not piss off a lot of people. I know a lot of people are going to be mad at this. Well, you're talking about how can a guy who's an undisputed champion of the world become the most overrated fighter in boxing? It's because even the way that he become, a lot of people be like, he had a better run than Usyk, Canelo, and Crawford to reach this undisputed. I would disagree, because both Canelo and Crawford won all of their fights wide and very dominantly. Usyk did have a close fight against Bradis, but it was a close fight. Not a fight where people thought he lost it. A lot of people thought it was 7-5, 6-6. Either 7-5 Usyk or 6-6 a draw. But where in this case, we've already had two fights that lots of people have thought that Josh Taylor has lost. One of them people just view as a highway robbery. And both of those fights took place in the United Kingdom. Now, I see a lot of UK fans got pissed off when the Josh Taylor versus Jose Ramirez fight was scored 114-112, which was just 1 point off what really happened, in my opinion, 115-111 for Josh Taylor. A lot of people were very mad. A lot of people in the UK. Like, you can't be mad about a point. A point. When one of the Josh Taylor judges for the Regis Prograis fight, I think he had it 117-112 in Josh Taylor's favor. And you're going to have to ask yourself, what is that, a 117-112? So 117-112, what does that mean? It means Josh Taylor won 8 rounds, Regis Prograis won 3 rounds, and there was 1 round that was a draw. Yeah, one just had a 117-112. Like, how the fuck do you get that? How do you get that? And that fight that was that close, how do you get 117-112? That fight was also in the UK. That fight was in the O2 Arena. So when we see decisions like that, people are going to be like, what's going on? Now, even the Victor Postal fight, where a lot of people thought that Postal was either very close or won that fight, what do the judges have it? 119-108. That's 11 rounds to 1. 118-110 and 117-110. So you see where the problem comes. Josh Taylor, even though no one knows him, even in the UK, he's not known by the casual fans one bit. The judges are extremely biased towards him. I don't know why that is, even though he doesn't even have a UK promoter. So Josh Taylor, in my opinion, is the most overrated fighter in boxing, and I've never seen a guy pushed up to the pound-for-pound status with the extreme limitations that Josh Taylor has. Josh Taylor, from the fights I've seen for him, he just bullies you. Like, he's basically a Jarrett Hurd. I'm just going to be straightforward with this. He's just a bully. He wants to fight on the inside, like all he was doing against Jack Catterall. The only time he had any type of success was when he would hold Jack Catterall with one hand and try to wail on Jack Catterall with the other. That's not boxing. That's not a pound-for-pound level fighter. You don't see a guy like Usyk doing that. You don't see a guy like Terence Crawford doing that. These guys are just so much better than you. They don't need to resort to that type of tactics. They really don't. And what's funny is a lot of people thought that Josh Taylor could beat Terence Crawford. I hope that gets put to rest now. I hope people stop disrespecting Terence Crawford's name. Terence Crawford is one of the best boxers in this generation. Terence Crawford is one of the most talented boxers of all time. Not the most accomplished. Pure talent, he's one of the most talented boxers of all time. And if he gets his opponents at welterweight, he will be remembered as all-time great welterweight. If he doesn't, he could jump up and beat whoever wins the undisputed fight between Charlo and Castellano. And I would put him a favorite against either one. And a lot of people would as well. Josh Taylor at welterweight. I know he says that he dropped Ugas in sparring, and he possibly did. And he probably has a good chance against Ugas. But seeing him how he struggled to dodge that left hand, he would get owned by either Spencer or Crawford. In my opinion, I was saying, Crawford, don't take the fight against Josh Taylor because they might rob you. Man, I don't think that fight goes the distance. I don't. So if I was Crawford, I'd jump on that fight. Even though he won't get the credit that he would have gotten prior to the Jack Catterall fight. People say you beat a bum, basically. You beat an overrated guy. You beat a guy who just lost his last fight. Don't mean shit what you just said out there. And it won't be his best performance. I would still rank the Sean Porter fight as a higher win. And at the time of the Victor Postal fight, also is a higher one than Josh Taylor right now. Just my honest opinion. I'd like to hear your opinion in the comment section below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And yeah, that's it. Sadiq Boxing out.